Okay, so on to question 2. Question 2 is climate and change. So we started off looking at the evidence for climate change, and we need to divide that, don't we, into distant and more recent. So your evidence for distant climate change were fossils, U-shaped valleys and ice cores. Remember, these prove that the climate used to be different in the past. This proves that there used to be glaciers in an area where there are no longer any more today. Recent climate change, the evidence for that includes diaries, pictures, such as pictures of the frost fairs that were held in the Little Ice Age on the Thames, and there are actual weather records that date back to those times. So that's your evidence. Now, there are lots of theories of climate change, and what we're interested in are the natural causes or the natural theories. These include several. One is the sunspot theory, and remember that the more spots on the sun, the more intense the radiation, so the temperatures will rise. You have the volcanic eruption theory, whereby the ash will block out the sun, which means the temperatures will cool. You also have the asteroid theory, which is the same principle. So you have this ginormous asteroid heading to Earth, which will generate loads of ash and dust, which again can cool the temperatures. And your final theory is the orbital theory, and sometimes it is circular and sometimes it is oval, and that will affect the amount of heat that the Earth receives. Just be careful if they say solar output, they may actually be specific and want you to discuss a solar output theory. So that would be your sunspot theory mainly. Right, so in the past the climate used to be different. There's a specific time in the past that we all need to be aware of, and that is the Little Ice Age. Now, I've had some help with this because we all know that my diagrams of Eric the Red weren't actually very good. So here we have Eric, okay, and we know that he went to live on Greenland on a boat with some other fellow Vikings during the medieval warm period. They were very successful there. They settled, okay. They had, here we go again, goats, they had sheep, and they had cattle, so they had lots of farms, and Eric and his fellow Vikings were very happy. However, then it all changed, didn't it? And the Little Ice Age arrived and temperatures dropped, and this ultimately affected these people in quite a bad way. So one of the things that happened to them was they couldn't trade anymore, so there was no trade because the sea ice froze, which cut them off. They couldn't grow enough hay in the summer to get the animals through the winter, so they died, and they couldn't do this because there was a shorter growing season and lower temperatures. They were unable to go on hunting expeditions to hunt enough meat to get them through the winter season, and ultimately they ran out of food and they died out, and that is why the Vikings were affected by short-term past climate change. However, in Europe we were a bit more successful at adapting to this, although during the Little Ice Age 20% of peasant farmers did die as food ran scarce. However, there were some positives as well. They were able to hold frost fairs on the Thames, which were very successful, and some farmers did change their crops to other crops like potatoes, which were able to grow in the cold, wetter conditions. Anyone who had a farm on high land had to abandon the farm because it would have been too cold at these higher levels to have or be able to grow anything. Okay, so the Little Ice Age and the impact on people. Now, climate change in the past has also affected ecosystems. Now, we know in the past there used to be a lot of dinosaurs around. However, there was a huge volcanic eruption, and an asteroid strike, which created a layer of ash around the Earth, which led to cooler temperatures. Now this all happened really, really quickly. There was a program on telly the other day called The Day the Dinosaurs Died. It happened very, very quickly. In fact, I believe it said on the program that in a week the temperatures plummeted by 10 degrees. This meant that food very quickly ran out, the food webs collapsed, and you know what's coming. We have the old dead dino, and that is why the dinosaurs were wiped out. Right, moving on, let's have a little think about how the humans are affecting climate change. And we need to talk about the enhanced greenhouse effect. So we know there is a layer of greenhouse gases around the planet, and these let heat in, but then trap some heat into the Earth's atmosphere. This means we can live here. We know this. This is a good thing. However, due to various human activities like increasing transport, power stations, using fossil fuels to generate power, what else have we got? Aerosols, using CFCs. We have, and here's a little bit more help I've had, cattle ranching, which will generate large amounts of methane, and landfills also give off methane. This is all leading to, and this is the important word, an enhanced greenhouse effect. And that is what is leading to climate change today. What's involved in climate change? Remember these three things: rising sea levels, rising temperatures, and unreliable rainfall patterns. So why will the climate be different in the UK in the future? Oh, that was interesting. Right, here we have the polar front, and we know that the polar front is going to shift north. This means we will have warmer weather as we are exposed to more tropical air masses and fewer polar air masses. The other reason why the climate is changing in the UK is due to the enhanced greenhouse effect. Now this is all going to have a direct impact on us, and in the UK a warmer climate will have benefits and costs. So some of the costs will be the increasing cost the NHS will have to fund for increasing heat-related diseases or cancer. Crops may fail as rainfall becomes more unreliable. There may be new pests and diseases that affect crops. We know that sea levels are going to rise, so we may need more sea defences. However, there are some good things. There might be an increase in tourism due to this Mediterranean climate we're going to have. We could maybe grow new crops, which will make us more profits, and the farmers will get richer perhaps. We will spend less money on our heating bills, as we won't need to heat our homes as much in winter. So there are many benefits. Let's have a think about Egypt though. And in Egypt, people may get poorer. In Egypt, there will be a rising sea level, which means Alexandria will flood and 7 million people may lose their homes. Unreliable rainfall patterns may lead to crop failure, which will make people poorer. The desert will expand, meaning there will be less area to cultivate crops on. And this is really unfair, isn't it? Because Egypt don't generate the greenhouse gases, yet they are going to be affected worse by climate change because they can't cope. They can't cope because they don't have the money to cope. This makes climate change incredibly unfair. And that, my friends, is climate and change in a nutshell.